tell you what happened to us Saturday night. We gone to eat coming back down Stewart Street. It was an orange-colored motorcycle. He whipped around us with a double yellow line, and in behind another car, and there was a car crashing. Don tried to get close to his tag, and then there was a flat behind us, and then it went around us. Oh, me. All right. Okay, it's 6 p.m. I will call the May meeting of the City of Carrollton Mayor and Council to order. At this time, we will stand and have our Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you'll remain standing, and Councilman Bridges, would you do our invocation, please?
Let us go to God in prayer. Dear great God of heaven, thank you, Father God, for this day. Thank you, Lord, for waking us up this morning in our right mind with our health and strength. Lord, just pray for this community. Pray for this mayor and council, Lord God, that we would do all things that's pleasing in your sight, dear Heavenly Father. As we go forth through this night, dear God, that let your presence be among us, God, so we can feel your presence to make sound decisions, Lord God, in everything and all things. These and all other blessings, in your dear Son, Jesus Christ's name, we all do pray. And let every heart say amen.
Amen. All right. Thank you. You may be seated. Okay, at this time, we have citizens' comments, and I know a lot of people probably signed in. If you signed in to speak on the rezoning on Highway 27 and Brock Street, citizens' comments is not the appropriate place for you to speak. This will be done when we bring that before the council for discussion. So, Mr. Triplett, are there any other citizens' comments? No, ma'am. Okay. All right. So at this time, you have copies of the minutes from our April meetings. Do I have a motion to approve? So moved. I have a motion to approve. Is there any corrections or additions? Hearing none, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carries. And let me just make a comment. Councilman Waters is not here, but he is on the phone with us, so he will be able to hear anything that's said, and he will also be able to vote on items. So at this time, we have our mayor and council announcements and comments, and Councilman Bridges, we'll start with you.
Good evening. I'm trying to calm down a little bit because I just drove from the Steve Harvey show. I was at the Family Feud. So I'm trying to calm down a little bit. And secondly, I received the community award on Saturday, and it's an honor to serve my community, and it's an honor to be a part of this community. And I just want the ones that are watching that's not here, I want to say thank you. And I'm just glad to be a part of a great city. And I ain't going to talk too much because I'm still a little hyper. So I let Bob talk.
Oh, let's give Jacqueline a big hand. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Briefly, I'd say I got a few things I'd like to mention. We were so lucky and honored and privileged to have the Last Supper in Carrollton for, I don't know, a month.
Almost.
And I hope everybody got to go see it. Our first concert weekend was at the Amp, and I know big crowds went to that. And there's Mayfest this weekend on the city square. Don't blink, you'll miss something. There's a lot going on here in Carrollton. And I'll take this opportunity to congratulate one of our outstanding planning and zoning people, Rich Weaver, who he'd been asking for years, and I understand Stephanie said yes, and they were married this weekend. Congratulations, Rich.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councilman
Well,
Lembeau?
we got a big crowd tonight. I'll turn my mic on. So I guess everybody anticipates some really great entertainment up here tonight, and I hope we don't disappoint you. So, but I just wanted to welcome all of you tonight. We hope you'll come back week after week because we're used to doing this meeting in front of a slightly smaller crowd than we have tonight. So we hope you'll come back sometime and join us. Thank you.
I just want to reiterate some things that Bob said about our Mayfest, and I want to commend our marketing and program. They work so hard to get a calendar that's appeasing to everybody, and we have stuff for young people this year. We have concerts, a different variety of music. So if you go on our website, you'll see all the different concerts already listed, and we're going to have some night markets out at Lake Carroll, and we're real excited about that. And I think, like Bob said, there's a lot going on, and I just want to thank our staff because they really do a great job at keeping events and things going to keep people interested. And we're just all going to pray that it doesn't rain Saturday and we have a successful Mayfest. All right, Mr. Brooks.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just like to give a shout out to our public safety departments, our police department, and fire department. As all these events take place throughout the city, it requires their presence and to make sure that we keep everything safe and everybody can have a good time and feel safe doing it. So shout out to our police department. And also like to say we did our fire department along with Red Cross did a smoke detector initiative this past Saturday where they walked around specific areas of town and gave folks smoke detectors and installed them themselves. And just so happened that over yesterday there was a house fire in the area where they were giving out smoke detectors, and the guy who was alerted to a fire in his home was alerted by one of the smoke detectors that was given out on Saturday. So just something that a lot of people don't know that goes on that our folks continuously do. And that's just one example of what our employees do to make this a great place to live. So shout out to them today. And then want to recognize or give recognition to our youth council that's here today, and be recognized here in just a few minutes, and appreciate all that they've done this year in terms of learning about municipal government. So,
Okay. Next item on the agenda is the approval of agenda items for consideration. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Aye. Same sign. Hearing none, motion carries. Well, the first item on our agenda is the recognition of our Carrollton Youth Council. And for those of you who don't know what this is a program that we started 2 years ago. And what it does is it involves our high school students. And they start in 9th grade and up through their senior year. And they visit all of the city facilities to find out how their local government works. They get to go to Atlanta with us during the legislative session, and they've also given us some ideas of what their philosophy is or what they think would make our city better. And I told them it's really ironic. We had a town hall meeting. I had a group of 7th and 8th graders come and have lunch with the mayor, and then our youth council, and all of their concerns and things they thought would make our city better were all the same. So I think that's a red flag to us that we need to, really work towards some of these projects. But at this time, it is my honor to recognize some of these, and we have 3 seniors this year. I'm going to call your name, and as I call your name, if you'll just go ahead and come up here, and then we'll give you your certificate of participation. Lexi Walter. Lexi is going to go to the University of Georgia. She's going to be a Georgia Bulldog.
Go Dogs.
And our next senior is Mr. Will Jennings, and he's going to be a Georgia Tech Yellow Jacket. And Matthew Basil is not here tonight, but he's going to attend Wolford College. And our next participant is Mr. Hudson Blackman. And we have Miss Clara Pullen, Ramsey Sullivan, Kush Patel, J.C. Sabo, Cameron McClure, Hutch Jennings, Amira Doplay, Kenya Hernandez, and Flora Duffy. And let's give these young people a round of applause. Our next item on our agenda is a proclamation for Mental Health Awareness Month for May 2023. It's Look Around and Look Within. Mental illness is something that affects the majority of people at some point in time. And we are so blessed in Carrollton and Carroll County to have the mental illness program through our Carroll County Mental Health Advocates. We have our own crisis response team, and there's a very few communities in this state that has that. And we are so blessed. And we have also a lot of programs to help people that are trying to recover from if it's a substance abuse, and a lot of times these people have dual diagnosis because what happens is they don't understand about mental illness, and then they self-medicate, and then you have two issues instead of one. But I'd like to read this before I present it to our executive director, Ms. Jody Goodman. Whereas the area that someone lives in plays a significant role in their overall health and well-being, and whereas surroundings can impact if, how, and when a person's needs are met, which in turn affects mental health, and whereas having safe, stable, and healthy home conditions set the foundation for achieving and maintaining good mental health, and whereas the early and effective intervention, those individuals with mental health conditions can recover and lead a full and productive life. Whereas each business, school, government agency, healthcare provider, organization, and citizens share the burden of mental health problems and has a responsibility to promote mental wellness and support prevention efforts. Now, therefore, I, Betty Cason, Mayor of the City of Carrollton, by the virtue of authority vested in me by the laws of Carrollton, Georgia, do hereby proclaim May 23rd, 2023 as Mental Health Awareness Month in the City of Carrollton. As the Mayor of the City of Carrollton, I also call upon the citizens, government, agencies, public and private institutions, businesses, and schools in the City of Carrollton to recommit our community to increasing awareness and understanding of mental health, the steps our citizens can take to protect their mental health, and the need for appropriate and accessible service for all people with mental health conditions. I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Carrollton to be affixed to this proclamation on the first day of May 2023. Okay, Jody, if you'll come forward. I was using my judge's voice, Jim. And we are now, our group has been all over the state to tell people about our programs and how successful we've been. And what happens is when our units go out, most of the time, this is when people get the help they need instead of law enforcement going out and taking them to jail. Our program has been going now for 2 years, and out of that 2 years, there's only been 2 arrests, and one of those was because it was a warrant from somewhere else, so naturally when law enforcement got involved, they had to follow it through, and then recently we had another arrest, and we've had how many calls?
I think over 630.
630 calls, so that's 630 people that got treatment instead of going to jail. So I think this group needs to be commended for the outstanding job they've done.
As long as we're commending, there's another reason that we're here tonight and why I'm up here. Judge Cason says that we are blessed in this community to have the efforts and the focus on mental health that we do, and we are blessed. But what she doesn't say is how blessed we are to have her in our community. And what she also doesn't say is that she was the founder of Mental Health Advocates all those years ago. She is the one who started that program. She is the one who recruited our amazing executive director, and she is the one who has championed the cause for mental health for years at this point, both as probate judge and continuing as a citizen and as our mayor. But her efforts are not just recognized here in our community. We recognize them and we know that. But I have brought today an award for Judge Kaysen from the Council of Probate Judges. So our council met. The judges from all the counties across the state met this April and presented a meritorious service award. And Judge Kaysen was out of town and was not able to be with us, but that meritorious service award was, she was elected by the judges, and we wanted to present it to her because of her continuing efforts to fight mental health, or not fight mental health, but to address mental health needs. So congratulations, Judge Kaysen. We're incredibly proud of you here in our community, but across the state as well. Good timing, wasn't it?
Good to see you.
Wow, that certainly caught me off guard.
Not an easy thing to do.
No, it's not. But thank y'all, and you know, it takes a village. It does, and we have a lot of good leadership. One of them standing back there at the door. He's looking around like he doesn't know who I'm talking about. But our Chief Richards, and we've worked together for a long time, and you know, some of our hard work has come to fruition, and I'm just so glad we can help these people and keep them out of jail. And if you have a chance, Wednesday morning, our offices are over at the Stallings Center, and drop by. They're going to have an open house from 8:30 to 10, and you get to see. They'll have the unit out there too that you can actually see, and these people do a fantastic job, and I just can't say enough about them. But I promise I'll hush now. Okay. The next item on our agenda is a rezoning request from 210 Adamson Avenue. Mr. Brooks?
Yes, ma'am. You want to read through the
I'm sorry.
criteria,
Yes, I
the
do.
procedures?
I do.
And these will apply to every rezoning request that we hear tonight.
Because of the things we have to go through and the things we have to do, we have rules. So at this time, we're going to hear rezoning requests. And since many of you may have not previously attended a public hearing on a zoning request, I want to quickly review our procedures. No person in attendance shall speak unless formally recognized. Upon rising to speak, each person recognized shall state their name and their home address. Speakers must not employ tactics of intimidation, profanity, or threats of violence in their comments. All comments shall be directed to the mayor and council, not to the petitioner or those in opposition. In accordance with the Georgia law, each side, not each individual, is allowed 10 total minutes of public input. This means that all of those speaking in favor of the request have a total of 10 minutes, and all those speaking in opposition to the request have a total of 10 minutes. The time devoted to questions and answers that elected officials may ask should not be counted against the time limitations. Since we do have limited time, please try to avoid restating what another may have already stated. The applicant shall be allowed to speak first in order to present the application. Others may then speak, indicating their support for or opposition of the application. The applicant will then be allowed time for rebuttal. Rebuttal must be limited to the points or issues raised by the opponents to the application at the hearing. All right, so now you understand what the rules are, and we have timekeeper, and we will proceed, and we have Ms. Studdard who's going to talk to us about the rezoning request for 210 Adamson Avenue.
Yes, ma'am. The first item on your agenda, rezoning item on your agenda, is a rezoning request at 210 Adamson Avenue. The request is to rezone a piece of property from R15, which is single-family residential, to RT, which is residential townhouse, in order to construct an accessory dwelling at an existing single-family residence. The Planning Commission reviewed this request during their April meeting, and they recommended unanimous approval of this request with the following condition: that additional site development is limited to the construction of one accessory dwelling unit. As you may recall, in RT, you can have up to 6 units per acre, and this lot is a little over half an acre, and so we want to make sure that just one unit gets built. And I do believe the petitioner's here if you have any
All
questions.
right.
Erica, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
How did the Planning and Zoning Commission?
They recommended unanimous approval.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Mr. Haney, do you wish to address the council?
Sure.
Okay.
Real brief.
All right.
This is a house. I'm sorry, I'm Rick Haney. I live at 305 Pinehurst Way, Carrollton, Georgia. This is a house that I've had as a rental unit since, I think, '05, and it was in need of renovation. My son and a young couple lives there. We wanted to build a garage in the back with an apartment above it, where my son will probably move as he lives with a young couple, and they're a young couple.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Any questions?
I don't think we have any. Okay. Is there anyone here in opposition of this request? Yeah, you can sit down. All right. Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the rezoning request?
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Okay, hearing none, motion carries. Okay, the next rezoning request is 1455 Highway South, 33 and 125 Brock Street.
The next rezoning request on your agenda this evening is a rezoning request at 1455 Highway 27 South, 33 and 125 Brock Street, Windmill Way, and off of Cottage Hill Road. The request is to rezone more or less 38.4 acres from basically C2 with a special use permit and RM with conditions to mixed-use plan development in order to develop a multifamily housing and commercial outparcel fronting Highway 27 South. The Planning Commission also reviewed this request during their April meeting, and they recommended denial of the request 7-1. And there was a fair amount of public input given during that meeting. Because they did recommend denial, there were no conditions recommended to this body. I did want to quickly go through the staff recommended conditions. And they're found on page 24 of your packets. But the staff recommended conditions, should you choose to approve the project, is that the project be limited to no more than 280 units, that access to Windmill Park Phase 1 is limited to emergency vehicles only and should be restricted by a gate. That gate would have a Knox lock type box on it. A 75-foot planted buffer shall be installed along Windmill Park, Plantation Walk, and the Reserve subdivision. This particular buffer, the applicant did work with the Windmill Park residents, and they have asked to have that reduced to 40 feet. And then also that professional on-site management be required. The applicant did meet with the Windmill Park subdivision, and they have added more details to those conditions. I think you have those at your seat. They were given to you this evening. I want to quickly go through those two since we have a fair number of them. One is that a 6-foot black vinyl-clad chain link fence be placed between this development and Windmill Park. That fence will have that gate that was recommended by staff. That arborvitae trees, which are similar to Leland cypress, but they are a little bit more disease resistant, be planted along this fence line. And that the landscaping be on the Windmill Creek side property for their responsibility to maintain. So that would be the apartment property. And then also that buffer condition that staff had recommended, they have agreed to a 40-foot buffer along the Windmill Park, but that would still include the 75-foot buffer along both Cottage Hill Plantation and the reserve. And then the petitioners also said they would also put a fence between Cottage Hill Plantation and the reserve as well. The petitioner is here if you have any additional questions.
Mr. Denny, do you wish to speak in favor of this?
Thank you. I didn't speak in the mic last time they told me, so I'm going to try to do that. My name is John Denny. I live at 2345 Hayes Mill Road in Carrollton. Bob Dylan said, "Those not busy being born are busy dying," and I submit that this applies to communities as well as individuals. Other than school and my military obligation, I've been around Carrollton all of my life. And for those of you not old enough or not having been around Carrollton long enough to realize it, we have been busy being born most all of that life, and we all have a higher quality of life as a result of that. I'll relate one example which I know firsthand because I was involved. 1985, a few local business leaders realized that to maintain our economic viability, Carrollton needed a full-service major motel. They found in me someone young and naive enough to believe that it could actually be done. But this would require being able to serve mixed drinks, which Carrollton did not allow. A citywide referendum would need to pass. This was a very emotional issue, much opposed by many who believed it would mean the cultural downfall of our town. But the citizens voted in favor of it. Had the opposition prevailed, we would not have had a major full-service motel. There would not have been a Lazy Donkey or a Maple Street mansion, and there would not be Olive Garden, Longhorns, or Charlie's, and other places we currently enjoy because of the direct and indirect effects. But businesses require customers. This also is a necessary part of our continued economic and cultural health. There are those who believe that what we are proposing to you tonight is unnecessary and undesirable, who want to keep things the way they are. But things do not stay the way they are. We must adjust and continue to be born, or else we fall behind. What I am asking you to allow is the nicest attached home rental community that Carrollton has had. The most appealing amenities, arguably the best location, and likely the most professional management. For all concerned, I believe this is the better of the two alternatives available for this property. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Okay, is there anyone here to speak in opposition of this? I'm sorry. Wait a minute. How much longer do we have?
We've got about 7.5 minutes.
Oh, okay. All right. We got 7.5 minutes left for anybody to speak in favor of this.
I'm Jim McAleer, live at 114 Windmill Way in Windmill Park. You heard the conditions that we have worked with John to agree to. They're signed by both he and our president, and they answer our questions with security, safety, privacy, and especially the lack of traffic in our subdivision. And with that, Windmill Park would approve the request.
Okay. All right. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in favor of? Okay.
My name is Bridget Ellison. I live at 2005 Dartmouth Way, Villa Rica, Georgia. I'm 61 years old. I have 3 adult children. My husband passed away close to 7 years ago. I sold my $500,000 plus home and looked for a place to rent due to not wanting the responsibility of ownership anymore. I could not find anything. I'm looking for something safe, that's safe. I'm very active. I run, play tennis. So I was looking for good amenities and something that was very safe. I could not find anything in the Carrollton area. So if these proposed apartments were available, I would definitely be a candidate. And I'm not opposed to stairs. So that's something I was looking for.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you. Okay, we have a little bit of time left. Mr. Matthews?
How much time we got left?
Not enough.
6 minutes and 33 seconds and 12 100.
I'll be brief and talk fast. My name is Jeff Matthews. I live at 250 Garst Road, Carrollton, Georgia. First of all, hadn't it been a beautiful day in Carrollton, Georgia?
Yes.
It always is. And when John and I started Windmill, we wanted to do something quality. Feel like we've accomplished that, and we feel like this opportunity here continues that vein of thought. And some of the things that you hear a lot of misinformation. There's an old saying that bad news can be all the way across town by the time good news can get his shoes tied. Well, that's the truth. It's like playing gossip when you were a kid in school. But some of the things you hear about that are often perceived or slanted as negative, one of them, and you hear it at every zoning, is traffic. Nobody likes traffic. We all want to slide into the Longhorn at 6 o'clock on a Friday and not have to wait. But if you're a merchant uptown, if you're a restaurateur, if you're a doctor in town, you need traffic, because traffic, sometimes people come in here from Alabama and spend money. We get some of their benefit. Traffic creates sales, hopefully creates profits, creates revenue, which hopefully can lower property taxes, but it also, splost revenue, sales tax revenue, helps support many of the things that you see here tonight: the Parks and Rec, the police, hospitals. Kroger expands. That's a direct result of traffic. So I don't think it's always a negative. The other thing you hear a lot about at zonings is you hear about the environment. And we're all environmentally conscious. We're living on the same little blue marble spinning around the sun. But the environment, you'll hear people get up and they'll talk about the Pleistocene era and the Mesozoic era. What they really want to talk about is soil erosion and sedimentation and soil plasticity. Before we started Windmill, we did a full-bore wetlands delineation study to ensure that we did not impact anyone downstream. There is a lake downstream from us that was built back in the 1960s by the federal control folks for retention. It is a big retention pond, the same as Lake Buckhorn is. It's a retention pond. It's not built so people can develop around it and put boats in it and jet skis. It is a retention pond. But we do not intend to impact that negatively, because we did that wetland study. We've done a full-bore hydrology study. We will meet or exceed all the city regulations, and we will certainly meet or exceed all the prior developments around us, from the Kroger to the motels to subdivisions around us, by handling our water better. We'll know where every drop of water goes. But if you have any particular questions on that, we will have John Bass, who will work with city staff to ensure there is no environmental degradation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay.
Hi, my name's Ed Alexander. My address is 675 Ponce de Leon Avenue in Atlanta. I'm here representing Middle Street Partners, the proposed developer for this site. First of all, I just wanted to say thank you for the opportunity to speak, and I appreciate everyone's attendance tonight. It's refreshing to see such a passionate community. I'll be brief, but I just wanted to give a quick, overview on our company. We do multifamily development across the Sun Belt, and that's all we do. We don't do any other product type, so we consider this to be our bread and butter. In terms of the Georgia region, we currently have over 1,000 units in development currently, and that ranges from 3-story surface parked product like the site plan that you see here, all the way to 400-foot high-rise in Midtown Atlanta. And if you want to look up more about our company, middlestreetpartners.com has a lot more info. But the main thing I wanted to say is just address some of the comments that were brought up at the Planning Commission meeting last month. I know there are concerns about what the project would become, years down the line. I think there were 1 or 2 existing communities in Carrollton that were referenced that maybe aren't, so pleasant, or they aren't the best neighbors or something like that. This project would be a $70 to $75 million investment for our firm and our investors, and we have a fiduciary responsibility to those groups to ensure that this is a successful project. And the easiest way to make sure that fails is to be bad neighbors to the community. So we do have full on-site management 7 days a week. We truly think of our neighboring communities as partners. And so I just want to make sure that people understand that we're here for the long term. We don't build and then sell this off to individual owners or a group that wouldn't manage the project. Obviously, that's a condition that was included with Windmill Park. So I just wanted to make sure that was clear. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ed. Anyone else? Have a quick minute.
Quick minute. I'm David Hester, 109 Coolwater Trace, Windmill Park. I'm on the board, and I just want to express, after looking at both projects, we are in favor of the apartment project for our safety, our traffic, and for the community that we actually need high-class apartments. And we're a group, it's a walking group, family group. We age 50 to 96 in our community. We walk the streets, and we like to be safe. And we thank the police department for helping us stay that way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hester. Okay, that includes the time for those speaking for the project. So at this time, we will have those that are speaking against the project. Okay.
My name is David Hildebrand, and I live at 130 Manor Way in Cottage Hill Plantation. Okay. Picture this for just a minute. You've lived in your house for 20 to 30 years, and you get up one morning and you go in to fix coffee in the kitchen. While it's brewing, you look out the window, and there's these 8 3-story apartments bearing down on you. We don't want that. I don't think you would want that in your backyard either. Now, I was here in 1960 when this project, when the zone it is now, R&M, and we met with John and Jeff, several of us in our community, and we understood something was going to be built back there one day. So they presented us with what's there now, and the fact that we would have single detached homes behind our neighborhood, and then some quads. Okay? So, we're going from 150 units to 280 units. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of cars. Now, the only way I can put it best is in one word. We feel betrayed. I personally feel betrayed over what was said and agreed upon, and now we're here. So we've got a lot of concerns. Part of it, of course, is the impact for us and our community on our family, on our housing values. Backed up right against it, nobody's going to live there. Or if they do, they're not going to pay full price. The other thing is, how many apartments do we really need? Has there been a feasibility study? You know, the only feasibility study that I could find was actually in 2016, where the consultant then said that there is an overabundance of apartments, that for a city of Carrollton, it was too much in the multifamily as opposed to single family. Now, traffic was mentioned. Let's put it in perspective. Have you tried to get out from Aldi's lately? Especially if you need to turn left to go back up South Park. It's horrible. The latest I could find from GOT is 30,000 cars, and that was an old figure. That's a lot of cars. Well, the entrance, there's two of them. Both of them are right, if this is Aldi's, they're right here beside of Aldi's. Trying to get in and trying to get out in that 30,000 car mix. So, I'm going to mention flooding too as a concern. I happen to live next to the little stream. So I'm the closest to these apartments. Well, I'm not. A lot of my neighbors are. And we already have a certain amount of flooding. In the original packet that you got from the Planning Commission is a photograph that I included to show what it looks like in our backyards when we have a lot of rain. Now, I'm saying this because that stream feeds in to the swamp down there, and there's beaver dams through there. You know, you can't do anything with beaver dams. You can't destroy them, you can't kill the beavers. You just have to live with it. I am going to mention Bristol Lakes because kind of the same thing happened then. They're going to be townhouses and they're going to be fine. And we all know what happened. They talk about vetting these applicants. But here's the thing. There's a lot of employers that will make the application to live in the apartment and then turn it over to their employees to live in as part of their compensation. And there's a trend nowadays renting bedrooms, not apartments, but bedrooms. We do not need another situation like that, not for the city, not for the police department. And so we're totally against this new rezoning, and we would ask that you keep it the way that it is.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Hildebrand. All right. Who's next?
Mayor and City Council, my name is Patrick Hendrickson. I live at 105 Sycamore Drive. I'll keep this quick. What environmental study has been done on this project? It was mentioned earlier that there was an environmental study done on Windmill, but that's the old project. What has been done on this? I live on Lake Johnson Lake. We don't look at it as a retention pond. We look at it as a beautiful lake. I'm here representing people in the county who live on that lake. We own property in the reserve, and we also own property in the county. We're already dealing with water problems coming from Walmart and some of the homes in our subdivision. This watershed and these wetlands run into Buffalo Creek. This will infect the entire community, not only city. Half the lake is in the city, half the lake is in the county. We are already dealing with runoff and a lot of things that are coming from some other developments over here in Nazar. We pick up trash every time it rains. We're already picking up trash that comes from those multifamily buildings. And the last thing I put on here is we did not want to allow Johnson Lake to become the developer's retention pond. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Kristen Whitaker, 115 Sycamore Drive in the Reserve, and I represent the Reserve neighborhood as well as my personal feelings on this. Let me just say that we love our city and community, and we appreciate our leaders and representatives who work hard to ensure that our city and our community stays the way that we love it and want to live here in Carrollton. Environmental concerns have already been brought up, so I won't go through those, but we are very concerned about the watershed and the environmental study being done on this. We also feel that there's inadequate buffers being put in for a massive buildings. If there's massive structures being put in, massive buffers should be put in. Also, chain link fences don't do a whole lot to keep people out who want to cross them. They can get over those. We feel that this new development, the new proposed project, does not address the needs of the future tenants there, as has been expressed, with no elevators and few first level units to be lived in if they're targeting 55 plus. We do feel like this, as has been mentioned, that our city needs more affordable single family homes, and the plus of that is we've got owners that would be landowners and homeowners, and we feel like they would care for their property and the surrounding community better than as renters, as we've seen in many areas around Carrollton, unfortunately. Another concern is having corporate management. All that revenue would leave our city, go elsewhere to corporate management. We'd love to see, like I said, homeowners and that revenue staying here and people being invested in our lovely community. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's a minute and a half left.
Hey, my name's Dennis Robinson. I live at 99 Hidden Lakes Drive, Carrollton, Georgia. Here on behalf of my mother-in-law at 152 Windmill Way. She lives closest to this new rezoning effort. First of all, I'd like to say thanks for everything you guys do. Thank you for that prayer. That was awesome. That hopefully we can all keep our cool. But I think the most important thing to note here is that this was already approved for something else in 2016. So I think that it's pretty relevant that the zoning committee sent up a vote of 7-1 that it's already been approved for whatever was zoned there. So I think that's what we need to focus on. And then my mother-in-law, you know, she lives right there on the edge. I mean, she's in the very back, right next to where this will be. So she's not in favor of this. Now, her community stood up and said they were, but not her. So that's all I got.
All right. Thank you.
My name is Jan Watts, and I live at 141 Manor Way. I wanted to point out about the density that's involved in these apartments. There are 280 units, 3 stories high, and if you just an average of 4 people per, we could look at 1,100 people trying to live in a close proximity on top of each other, so to speak. And it's very hard for anybody to manage, or for everyone, as we know, to get along, and because of their different lifestyles. There are also issues about the maximum number of people who can live in a 1, 2, or 3 bedroom apartment, and the number of cars allowed per unit can be difficult at best or impossible to control or manage. The moment the first apartment is rented, the proposed use of that unit is no longer controllable, because you cannot control what goes on behind closed doors and say that everybody's just going to do what's right and what they were asked to do. So we definitely, I represent not only myself as a citizen, I'm the president of the POA at Cottage Hill Plantation, and we appreciate your consideration tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's the 10 minutes have expired. Okay. Mr. Denny, do you have any rebuttal to any of the points that have been made?
Yes, ma'am. I think the most specific one, thank you, is to do with the wetland study and the environmental study. There was a question asked about that was insinuated that we only did it on phase one of Windmill Park, which is not correct. We did it on the entire property. The wetlands are delineated. There are no wetlands on phase one of Windmill Park, but there are wetlands on on the part we're talking about. The hydrology study and the wetland study, all of the environmental studies have been done on the entire property, not just that one. As far as the buffers, I guess probably Eric could address it better than I could. But the current buffers required actually between this property and Windmill Park phase one are 0. There are no buffers required there. The buffers, I think, are like 10, 30, or 50 feet, depending on whether or not you plant and put a fence, but none of them require a fence for even anything over 30 feet. So we feel like we're offering a lot more buffer than what's currently required by the city. And it is currently zoned multifamily already, and it does not have rental restrictions on it. On all of the property together, it's zoned for 220 units on the two properties together. And as far as the runoff, we've got Central High School, we've got Central Elementary, Chapel Heights, Cottage Hill Plantation has no detention. None of those places have detention. They were built before the strict requirements that we have now, and we have to deal with those runoff too. It'll cost us more because of the streams carrying more water. I'll be glad to answer any questions as best I can.
John, I do have a question for you. Middle Street Partners is the group that y'all currently are working with on this proposed development. Would you entertain something that I've, kind of developed some opinions about based on several conversations that I've had over the course of the last week? Would y'all entertain being limited to working with Middle Street Partners on this development as a condition for this zoning? One of the things that I have kind of become a little concerned about is we have approved several projects over the course of my 3 years on the council, and some of those have not been started. And my concern is that someone came in and got a piece of property zoned a certain way and presented us with a developer that we felt comfortable with, but that in the future, if for whatever reason they just decide not to do that and they go out and seek other developers that might not be as high quality as the current, developer that's been proposed, I'd like for the council to be able to take another look at that. If for some reason, this project just didn't get off the ground for 5 years, I'm looking at asking the council to consider putting a time limit on developments that we approve being started, and also putting a limitation on the zoning if the landowner were to change developers midstream. Is something that I'd like to consider. Would y'all be opposed to either of those?
No, we would not. We've done a lot. It's a concern that I have had too. We want to be sure that we're dealing with someone that has the capability of putting it together, and someone who has a good reputation. And I assure you that I've spoken with several people in that regard. and I feel comfortable that they have the capability, we would be willing to make it I don't know what you call it, a conditional zoning, that if it doesn't work out with Middle Street Partners, say within 18 months or 2 years, that the zoning simply revert back to what it is now.
Okay. All right.
We're pretty confident that they can.
Well, I'm very confident in Middle Street Partners myself. I've done some research on them and looked into their model, and I'm comfortable with someone like them developing this property, but I might not be comfortable with the next group if they were to decide to walk away from this. So
That's understandable, and I appreciate your concern about that.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Anybody else have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions.
I do have one other question that might that someone brought up in their discussion, and I'm not sure if this is even a possibility of limiting the number of people who live in a particular apartment. I don't know if there's an occupancy limitation. Erica, is that something that you have any familiarity about?
I'm actually going to read y'all the definition of family in the ordinance so I don't mess it up. But it does address that. It goes into single family, and it says that basically 2 or more in single family occupying a dwelling when they're related by blood, basically family, that they could have. They can basically have up to 4 unrelated beyond the family, if that makes sense, in single family. And so in that regard, multifamily doesn't necessarily have a limit. Typically that's limited by, parking, and this is kind of an enclosed site. So if there's a parking issue, it's going to be, subject to, those particular site restrictions. So the definition of family is basically no more than 4 unrelated. Since this is multifamily, I guess you could technically, I think it would fall probably back on the building code. And there's probably some very small, requirement per person. I just don't know it off the top of my head.
Okay. All right. Just curious about that.
Erica, what is the parking requirements for these units?
It's based off bedroom, and I'll go through them. So I think a 2-bedroom is 2 units and then 1 space for every 5 guests, and I think that's predominantly what they're proposing is 2-bedroom. And so if you have, say, 25 units, you would have, your 50 spaces plus you would have an additional 5 for guests.
Okay.
So.
One other question I've got. I think this proposal came before us as a gated community. Is that correct?
It's shown on the plan, yes.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
Just a reminder that the concept plan is binding with this one because it's a plan development. So they would be required to put it in if it's approved as is.
Okay.
Okay. No other questions or comments?
One other thing.
Okay.
Tell me again where the condition staff recommendation on the conditions is. What page is that on? 24? Okay. All right. Thank you.
Erica, could you tell me again how many units this is approved for right now? The Windmill 2?
So essentially, they were approved for, it's a portion of the townhome development that was basically a C2 with special use for townhomes. I believe that was 57, correct? I'm going to have to get John here. It's approximately 240 that they could build right now, and I think they're asking for 280. Is that a correct number that I'm giving them?
I'm real familiar with the numbers.
Okay, I was about to say he knows them better than I do.
The portion that's owned by Terra Verde is currently zoned. This was based on the original zoning, less what has already been used. It's currently zoned for 163 units, the portion for Terra Verde. That has no rental restrictions. The portion that's currently owned by Themis is commercial zone with the condition of approved for use as townhouses. The concept plan showed 57, and that's what we have presumed the numbers using. And it does have a rental restriction of 20%. So overall, there is 220 units approved, of which 20% let's see, I guess 80% of the 57 cannot be rental, but there are no rental restrictions on the part behind Windmill Park, which was our original property.
Yes, and if, well, I just want to make sure that, if we, the way it's set up right now, that all these cars would go in and out of Windmill, is that correct?
They could.
The way it's right now today?
The way it's set up right now, they could. There's no prohibition about that. That's correct. And that has been one of the big concerns for the people who live in Phase 1, that they would like to restrict it so that there's no vehicular or pedestrian traffic, and we've agreed to that in the conditions, other than the fire marshal requirement that there be an emergency gate that only they could access and probably be used once a year, maybe, if that.
And the townhomes, as they're presently could be built, they would be all two-story, or could be three?
Yeah. Well, there's no height limit on other than whatever the city maximum. I mean, you could have three-story units backing up to Reserve or Cottage Hill Plantation, so there would not be a height requirement on those, as I understand it, other than just whatever the maximum city height is.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, at this time, I'll entertain a motion.
I would like to make a motion that the petitioner's request be approved with the addition of two other conditions. One is that the project would need to be started within 24 months, or that if not, the property would revert back to the original zoning, and also that Middle Street Partners would be the developer, and if this were to change, that the mayor and council would have to approve any other developer that would be brought before for that development.
Okay. Now, and this includes all the staff recommendations?
Yes,
plus
it also includes staff recommendations and the agreement that has been signed by John Denny and the representative from Windmill Park.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second? Okay, don't have a second, so the motion dies on the floor. right, our next agenda item is the special use permit for 1100 Bankhead Highway. This is light industry and the C2 general commercial zoning. Okay, I need to have order, please. Okay. The next item on the agenda is a special use permit for 111 Bankhead Avenue from light industry in the C2 general commercial zoning district. And the applicant in this case is Superior Recreation Products.
I'm trying to get my act together too. The final zoning item on your agenda this evening is a special use request at the former Big Lots on Bankhead Highway. And the request is actually very similar to one you saw several years ago when Superior Products burned. If you recall, their primary manufacturing facility here in Carrollton burned down. And in order to keep all of the jobs and manufacturing going, they actually briefly moved into, for about 2 years, into Big Lots while they were reconstructing their primary facility over in the industrial park. The applicant, it's actually the same applicant, has come back to us again to ask for provision similar to what you authorized several years ago. They're actually going to move that operation back into the Big Lots because, but for a good reason this time, not for a fire. I think they're looking to expand their company holdings, and they're purchasing a company or two and bringing them to Carrollton, which will add more jobs. But they're actually going to put what they were doing in Big Lots, because they've already got the floor plan and all that sort of thing laid out, into the back into the Big Lots. They need to do it for 2 years while they make accommodations to expand their facility or purchase additional property. I do believe the petitioner, Jonathan Hardesty, is here if you have any questions.
Okay. Mr. Hardesty, do you
And the Planning Commission recommended a unanimous approval.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Jonathan Hardesty, primary residence, 187 Hidden Lakes Drive. Thank you all for your time tonight. Hopefully this is a little bit lighter for you. This is a success story, not because Superior had its fire and were able to rebuild, but because of how the city of Carrollton came to our aid last time. To be frank, if the city and the chamber and the community hadn't responded, there was a very strong opportunity for our company to have moved those 250 plus jobs out of the city. But because of the way the city responded, our owners have now doubled down. We've acquired 2 different companies, one in Kansas, one in Colorado, that we're looking to relocate. We have bought new property. We're going through the planning right now with RK Redding, who's going to build our 3rd location. And I think Erica said it best. We're wanting to use this as a temporary facility, put in there what we put in there before, do the same kind of operations. When we were in there the last time, we improved the concrete, the infrastructure, the Wi-Fi, the fiber optics, and since we've kind of have taken lease of the building, we've already made several other leasehold improvements. But I want to stand up here tonight, not just representing Superior Rec, but the employees, and say thank you for what you did previously, and we promise to be good stewards of this property while we rebuild or build our new 3rd location and bring those. It's going to be about $24 million in infrastructure improvements and about 88 total jobs to Carrollton, Georgia. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you very much. We've been very impressed with Superior Products over the last several years, and I'm just glad that y'all are in Carrollton and continue to want to be in Carrollton.
We really appreciate Carrollton. Thank you, Mr. Ledbetter. And we have an amazing team that really rallied around it. That was a very instrumental part of our, I don't even consider just a recovery. Now we're in that enhancement stage of our story.
Well, thank you, John. We do appreciate the relationship, and we appreciate the fact that Superior is staying here and is growing, and we do appreciate that. All right, do I have a motion to grant the special use permit as presented?
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion and a second.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carries. Congratulations, John. We look forward to working with you. The next one is Resolution 03-2023, the Unified Development Ordinance Amendment for farm wineries and distilleries.
My stack is getting smaller. The next item on your agenda is actually a staff-initiated UDO amendment. As we've spoken, I think over the last couple of months, we have had some interest in what we call Georgia farm wineries and distilleries, and the request, we don't currently address that in our UDO. We did draft an ordinance revision to the UDO that includes them as land uses in the UDO. They essentially mimic the same kind of approvals as microbreweries, which I do think that's gone well so far. As the ordinance as written, farm wineries would be allowed by right in M1 and M2 and distilleries, and then they would be allowed by special use permit. So ultimately, you guys would approve them in C1, C2, and C3, which are all of our commercial districts. The Planning Commission recommended unanimous approval of this amendment.
Okay, do I have a motion to adopt Resolution 03-2023, the Unified Development Ordinance Amendment?
So moved.
Have a motion, to have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any questions or discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carries. The next item on the agenda is Resolution 04-2023, which is a Code of Ordinance Amendment, Chapter 6, Alcohol Beverages, Farm Wineries, and Distilleries.
And with that, we also have to have provisions for their approval as far as alcohol licensing goes. This particular ordinance basically just includes farm wineries and distilleries, just as we did a few years ago with microbreweries. The provisions are literally completely mimic what we've done with microbreweries. I won't go through each of the changes, but we really just had to include them as far as permitting and licensing goes. If you haven't, this particular ordinance did not have to go to Planning Commission because it's in a different chapter of our code. So I don't have a Planning Commission recommendation, but staff recommends approval.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 04-2023, the Code of Ordinance Amendment, Chapter 6, Alcohol Beverage, Farm Wineries, and Distilleries?
I so move that motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any questions or discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Same sign. Okay, the next item on the agenda is appointment for Board of Development Appeals. Mr. Brooks?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is a memorandum from Ms. Studdard, our Community Development Director. It's been very active tonight, so. I'll take this one. But we have the Board of Development Appeals. Members of this board serve 3-year terms, and there are no term limitations. Hugh Bass and Peggy Philpott's terms on the Board of Development Appeals expired on April 1. Ms. Philpott has expressed an interest in continuing to serve on the board, should it be desired of the mayor and council. She's been a valuable asset to this group, excellent with attendance, brings thoughtful insight. It's just been a very good member of that board. And then we have also reached out to Maury Leibowitz to ask if he would be interested in serving on the Board of Development Appeals. I would ask that you consider approving both Ms. Philpott and Mr. Leibowitz, and should he decline, then we would, Ms. Studdard and I would bring somebody. But never mind, he's good to go. So I would ask that you approve Ms. Peggy Philpott and Mr. Maury Leibowitz for the Board of Development Appeals.
Okay, are there any other nominations? Hearing none, do I have a motion to reappoint Peggy Philpott and to appoint Mr. Maury Leibowitz?
So moved.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Next item on the agenda is board appointment for Historic Preservation Commission.
Yes, ma'am. Miss Carolyn Acock and Catherine Minor's terms on the Historic Preservation Commission will expire on May 1, which is today, right? Expired today. They have both, Ms. Acock has served 2 terms and is therefore ineligible. Ms. Minor has advised that she's not seeking reappointment. They've both been very heavily involved with the Historic Preservation Committee. They've done a really great job. We'll miss them. We have gone out, and both Julie McCray and Susan Biggers have agreed to serve if appointed. And Director Stoddard and myself would ask that you approve both Julie McCray and Susan Biggers to terms on the Historic Preservation Commission.
Okay. Is there any other nominations? Or volunteers? Okay. Do I have a motion for appointment to these 2 positions for Historic Preservation Commission?
So moved.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Hearing none, motion carries. The next item on the agenda is a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. I want to recognize somebody that's here. Mr. Tommy Allen, Reverend Tommy Allen. Tommy, will you stand up, please? Tommy was on the original board of our mental health advocates, and he has gone through a lot of medical issues and had to come off the board, but he is back and doing great, and we're so glad to have you. And Tommy was very instrumental in getting our advocate training program going and hosted it at his church, and his mama made food for us. So, Tommy, I just want to recognize you and thank you for all you've done. Thank you, Tommy. Meeting adjourned.